it is a bit challenging to be a speaker of an evening session, primarily for two reasons. One is that most of you have been sitting since morning, and I'm sure that your energy level is very low, and I see that people started looking down, the receptivity is a bit poor. And the next speaker is a prominent speaker, and all of us are really eager to wait to listen to her speaking. And so I'll try to see that how I can make this conversation more engaging. If you really look at it, there are very fascinating insights about human behavior and so-called relationship with the complex relationship with the technology inventions. If you really look at it, okay. So there was during Athens, where there was a discussion with the Greek philosophers and the others. They were talking about the invention of writing. And Socrates had an issue about that. He believed that writing destroys the memory and it weakens the mind, and it is an inhuman thing. It was a very fascinating insight that every time there was an invention, there was always an apprehension and skepticism about it. How is this going to sort of really progress and move on to it? So this was very interesting insights which the Socrates had. Look at it, if there was no writing as a method that was not existing, the millions of books and readings which all of us sort of really enjoy, I think that wouldn't have never been there. Another one is about when we were kids. I'm sure that most of you would be able to really relate to it. Our parents always controlled us in going and watching television. And they always say that, if you watch for more hours, you will have to wear specs and it's going to impact your eyesight and the other stuff. And many years now, I'm not sure that if you do that to our children now, because today, if you look at it, on an average adult, you and me would be spending minimum 7 to 9 hours or more than that in front of computer. And it says that, the computer emits more lights, which is more harmful to the eyes than the TV. Because the TV we watch from a distance. So today we don't have that conversations, we are quite used to it. And on an average screen time with TV, laptop, devices and the other devices put together, it is about like 10 to 11 hours we spend in front of devices. Another interesting thing, most of you in this room are actually holding at least one phone or maybe more than two. We think that, we are actually holding the phone, but I would probably say that, the phone is actually controlling us. Phone is actually holding us. Why I say that, I have no doubt about that, probably the 7-inch phone is definitely a window to knowledge, great opportunities, reading, engagement, and the other stuff. However, if you look at it, how many of you have heard of nomophobia here? Yeah, it is no mobile phone phobia. I think if the phone which you are using, if the battery is sort of really less than 20%, it starts actually building the anxiety, and your heart rate actually goes up by a few points. And it is a sign that if there is an anxiety disorder that really happens because of the excessive usage of phone. And from morning to evening, we cite the phone at least 2,617 times, and we sort of really spend about like 4.3 hours using the mobile phone. And 67% of the teens really suffer from the nomophobia kind of the disorder. The point which I'm trying to say is that it is not this way or that way. It is about that, how we sort of really make sure that we balance out all these consumption of these new technologies and make sure that we use them moderately and we use them to sort of really the benefits of us. Say, I want to support this with another example. On an average, if you really look at in our lifespan, the average time which we spend on various activities, the research says that a human man would sort of really spend 26 years of actually sleeping. So you really look at the number of hours over a period of a life. and 8 years sort of really watching TV, and 6 years sort of really using mobile phone, so on and so forth. And if you really sort of really look at that in terms of the number of hours which we really work, I'm sure that most of us in this room would be working for at least maybe 8 to 9 hours in a day, or maybe more than that. So what does that mean? So for example, 30 to 33 years of work experience an individual will have it. We are talking about that, spending about 4,500 hours in a life, and which is about something that which is equivalent of about 13.5 years we actually work in terms of that's the equivalent of the time which we really work. Where AI and generative AI essentially come into the picture is about that. Imagine that the 30 years of work span which you have in a lifetime, if an AI or a generative AI can take 30% of that work, the manual work which we are really doing, and help sort of really automate and the mundane tasks which we are really doing it, you're able to sort of really go and invest your time on a better things in life. Maybe just take your family and just go for a trekking, or go for a long drive, or maybe just have more of a social interactions with your community. So there are various things which we can really do about it. So this is what McKinsey is also talking about, that by 2030, up to 30% of the work hours which all of us really work could be automated and can potentially generate millions of savings for the companies and for the society. So this is what we are actually talking. This is the potential that the AI, generative AI and the new technologies can actually promise to really deliver. Okay. So let's get to the business part of it. Okay, the global capacity centers. If you really look at it, there is no argument that we've been hearing since morning about that the GCC objectives and priorities here. It is more than a development center. It is about how you nurture and sort of really build innovation, R&D capabilities and the others. And once you build that to the scale, you've got to have a standard process and the other stuff to really make sure that it meets the compliances, it meets the guidelines and the others. And of course, we are doing all of that to sort of really drive business value. And of course, the cost efficiency is one part of it. And in reducing the risk is another important thing which all of us have to sort of really factor it. And we are doing all of this to really make sure that our end customers, we deliver far better experience to our end customers. These are essentially the GCC priorities. And if you really look at the adoption of the technology by the GCC is essentially, we can break this up into probably there will be 3 segments. One is that emerging and low adoption. So something like AR and VR falls under probably there will be the low adoption thing. And if you look at the automation, AI, ML, generative AI come under the growth or a high growth adoption for the GCCs. This is based on research which is done. And there are like the mature or well integrated, something like that usage of cloud platforms and usage of probably the platforms to sort of really build, that is essentially the matured category or the matured segment. So where Symphony AI essentially comes into is about that we provide integrated IT service management, IT asset management and enterprise service management workflow, which is essentially catering into the high growth, rapid growth segment, which is essentially automation, generative AI, ML and the others, and of course the platforms to go ahead and build your own applications. Why there is a need for that? So there is the data that says that I'm sure that all of you would be really hiring hundreds or probably thousands of employees in a year. And there is this data that says that it takes at least 3 weeks for an employee to be completely productive in an organization. Because once an employee comes on board, there are at least 32 odd requests one has to really, the organization has to really fulfill for the employee to unleash the productivity and start sort of really delivering the results for the organization. If you look at that, okay, an employee comes into the thing, there is a mail that goes from HR welcoming it, then there is a manager assignment, work location assignment, seat assignment, culture buddy assignment, software installation, which is most crucial. It changes from function to function. Depending upon what an employee is supposed to do and deliver it. Then various things, briefing tools, salary inquiries, transportation requests, insurance, PF transfers, and the other thing. There are like 32 such different process an employee has to sort of really go through it. So if you really look at that, how you could really automate all this stuff, cut down this 3 weeks to probably that, okay, no, a couple of days or 1 day. So this is what we have delivered this to most of the customers which we work with, what we call as the day one productivity solution, by automating all these processes which is required as part of onboarding of the employees, and same thing with the offboarding of the employee. So this is one solution which we offer. The second is that there has been a lot of conversations around the employee experience. I can tell you that Gartner believes and Gartner says that 87% of the employees of your organization are not so happy with the enterprise applications and their interactions with various tools and applications in the organizations. Why is that? Because let's take an example. Okay, so both of us, all of us here are an employee, and we are also probably consumer of technology ourselves. Imagine you're working in the homes on your personal computer, and if there is an adapter that is actually not working or the keyboard is really broken, and it is your personal laptop. So what do? You just go to Amazon and just sort of really order for an adapter replacement, and within 24 hours the adapter gets delivered. Imagine, irrespective of whatever the size of the organizations you work with, maybe a Fortune 100 companies or a Fortune 50 companies, if the same thing that really happens in your organizations, I can bet and tell you that, okay, it's not going to just solve within 24 hours. It takes days. Our employee had to sort of really run from pillar to post to sort of really get the replacement of the adapter they wanted. It is the same thing with all the service related requirements that really happens in the organization. You're an application developer, you want to go ahead and test your mobile application, and you need a virtual setup to go ahead and test that on a cloud. Just the process one had to really go through to get the approval is not that easy. If the manager is on leave, then the request really gets delayed by a few more days. Then it had to go to the finance for the approval, so on and so on. There are various steps an employee had to sort of really go through to sort of really fulfill the requirement. So this is where our technology essentially comes into the picture. We've recently launched our generative AI-based Copilot. It sits besides the employee and sort of really help provide knowledge articles, help sort of really provide solutions when they are facing an issue. See, for example, the example which I spoke about it. They need a virtual machine to go and test that new application which they built. So they can interact with the Copilot and say that, okay, I need an access to Azure Cloud or a Google Cloud or whatever it is. It sort of really shares the steps and make sure that, okay, the approval is just given in just a few seconds. If you design the workflow and just design it in that way, the Copilot will help solve the issues for it. And if there is an analyst, to see, for example, IT service request, an analyst that sort of daily work, depending on the organization, 100 or 200 or 300 analysts who sit in the organization to solve the IT services related requirement. So that's another thing. Okay, so our Copilot, analyst Copilot will help provide the knowledge articles to solve the problem immediately and make sure that, okay, if there is a particular ticket that comes in, who is the right analyst that should really get redirected to it, and help the analyst to solve the service request as soon as possible. So that's the analyst Copilot which we have. And there is a leadership Copilot. So many of you sitting in this room are essentially leaders of various functions. You've got to have a visibility of what is happening in your function or in the region which you're really operating about it. So you come in the morning and just talk to the co-pilot and just ask for a report about how many tickets are pending and what are the reasons for it. So co-pilot sort of really just pull out the dashboard and sort of really just showcase that information to the leaders. So this is another solution which we have. This is our stack of solution. This is essentially we offer IT service management, which is low-code, no-code, multi-tenant solution. Then enterprise service management, which is essentially that why an employee have to go to multiple portals to fulfill a service request. They go to IT, there is a separate portal. If there is an HR related thing, there is a separate portal they have to go and fulfill. If it is something to do with facility, there is a separate portal. Transportation, separate portal. If they want to book a room, there is another service portal. So where we come into the picture is that we could design the entire enterprise workflow solution, which essentially help employee to have a single service portal for various service requirements in the organization, which is the enterprise service management. Asset management is very important to really make sure that the IT assets the employees use are potential threat and the risk for vulnerabilities, securities, and the other stuff. So this is where our enterprise asset management solution comes in to make sure that it meets the compliances. As the leaders, we have to have a visibility of the spread of IT assets that is actually in the organization. What is the usage? What is the consumption of it? The retirement to sort of procurement to retirement. Sort of really you have far better visibility. That is the enterprise asset management solution. Service automation, which is about that. Many of the customers we work with, we were able to automate 50 to 60% of the service requests they were managing in manually. So look at the immense savings an organization can get by automating the service request. So which is essentially using our service automation workflow. And generative AI co-pilot, which is essentially we spoke about that sits besides your employee, help solve many of the things. It is beyond what Microsoft Copilot does, beyond actually the pictures and the others, drawing pictures and giving the recipes. It helps solve the real world problems. So this is our stack of solution, and the business outcome we essentially offer is about that. I'll skip this, we've spoken about this. I want to just briefly take a few minutes to explain about our organization. We are a leading AI SaaS company in the world. Our vision is essentially that if you really look at in the consumer space, there are many companies that are leveraging artificial intelligence to solve various problems various problems they deal with. But we essentially focus on the business-to-business space or the enterprise space. So we have developed various use cases and the workflow, which is leveraging generative AI to solve various problems that organization is really facing. We have about 2,000 customers worldwide. We work with top 15 groceries and grocers and top 25 CPG companies in the world, and top 200 financial institutions, including the Fortune companies. And these are essentially the view of our customers. If you look at any industry or any vertical, if you name, say, top 5 to 10 companies, you will find them that they are our customers. Be it Pepsi, Coke, Walmart, Albertsons, and Disney, Fox. And when it comes to the enterprise IT, Trellix, McAfee, KPMG, Deloitte, all of these are actually our customers. And 2 days back, Microsoft has announced Symphony AI as the partner of the year in AI and innovations. So we won this recognition from 4,500 companies, and Microsoft has really selected as the AI innovation recognition, which is like a great testimony to the work which we are really doing for our customers. And one last thing which I want to really leave behind is that we understand the GCC segment extremely well, and we have done and delivered the business values and the results for our customers. We can minimum increase 20% of your enterprise productivity and reduce about 19 to 25% of the cost which you will be managing on the IT assets and the others, and we can promise to deliver better experience for your employees and for the end customers. With that, I'm actually on top of the hour. Open for any questions if you have. Alright, thank you, and we will reach out to you in case if you need anything. We have a stall outside. If you would like to know more about our solution,